So we will start now. Hello and welcome to Alta Via's Dunning Bundle webinar. My name is George. I will be leading you through the webinar. Before I hand over to Part, our speaker for today, I want to address a few housekeeping rules. We will listen to Part's presentation. You can post your questions if you have any into the questions section of the GoToWebinar software, and we will address all of them after the presentation. Now over to you, Part. Enjoy the presentation.
Thank you, George. Hello, everyone, and welcome to our webinar. This is our webinar for Dunning Module 3.0. My name is Part, and I will be walking you through the webinar today. Today's situation has made cash management crucial for all companies, and one of the important factors is collecting due accounts receivables. The need to remind customers is annoying yet required. Our module does this very effectively while maintaining a good relationship with your customers. Our Dunning module was up and running way before NetSuite published their Dunning add-on. Our customers are using this tool on a regular basis, and due to recent increase in demand, we decided to take our bundle to the next level. We have enhanced the functionality and made it way more flexible. The version that we are shipping is 3.0, and it is being published on the SuiteApp platform as a build-for-NetSuite solution. During the webinar, we will of course demonstrate the strength of this SuiteApp. Let's dive in to learn more. So a short agenda. We would like to briefly introduce ourselves and what we do in the NetSuite ecosystem, after which we talk about some key features of this new Dunning module. This is followed by a sneak peek view of the module in action. We'll see how it works in our demo environment. And lastly, like Georg mentioned earlier, we will take questions towards the end from audiences about our Dunning module. About us, Alta Via is a solution provider, partner, and an SDN partner with Oracle NetSuite in the DACH region. We have supported clients in their ERP journeys across the globe. We take pride in our techno-functional skill set and an experience of over 12 years. Here are some of our happy smiling faces at our Berlin office. This is a partial list of our clientele, and some of you might be recognizing your organizations here. We have implemented across a variety of industry verticals and organizational scales, right from startups to multinational, international companies. All right, and here I introduce you to some of our offerings. We are an SDN partner as well, which means we can develop and ship bundles through the SDN platform. Here we see all our offerings available. You can always get to know more about them from our website, or just feel free to get in touch. Our bestseller Dativ interface integrates NetSuite with Dativ, a very well-known tool amongst bookkeepers. The German bundle comes with locally compliant German reporting formats, recent tax updates, VAT clawback, and many, many more functions. Travel expenses computes your per diems based on countries and regions that you're traveling to. This is built on top of native NetSuite expense reporting functionality. Our latest vacation and resource planning module, which brings a graphical time chart with resources availability and vacation details. Dunning module, of course, is the center of today's discussion. Without further ado, let's get into the key topic. The Dunning module 3.0 lets users make the most out of the transactional data sitting in their system. We offer a couple of tools like our Dunning console and statement console that can prove to be very handy for users to navigate through their Dunning and statement runs. Our module offers features that can intuitively suggest which invoices are ready for Dunning and which need to be proposed for collection runs. Natively, the module comes with 5 Dunning levels, plus a due date notification level, and 2 languages being German and English. The module is highly flexible, so you can decide how you want your Dunning letters, how they should look like, to whom and how the emails should be sent out, whether you should penalize your defaulters, and many more such features. All of this takes full advantage of the information already available in your NetSuite system. We link the Dunning data of your customers to the customer master, which is also, of course, made available on the Invoices. The module brings many dashboard contents and reminders that we'll take a look at. And all of this, of course, is audit-proof and can be used for internal management reporting purposes. What's more, we also offer full automation possibilities, which means NetSuite will automatically run the Dunning process on certain date and month, a certain time and date of the month. And this will automatically notify customers across all Dunning levels without you really having to trigger anything manually. With this, let's take a look at the module in action. Okay, so we are logged into our demo environment, and let's take a look at the Dunning process, which is the top right corner of the screen right now. You'd notice that it has quite a few navigation options, which we see. And the first thing that we'll notice is the dashboard, which is under the overview section. The dashboard gives you many portlets available. So you see, for example, you have the quick links for setup, tools, reports. You also have several other portlets available, such as the Dunning invoices within the Dunning procedure as of now. You also see invoices created today, which are in the Dunning process as of today. You also can, of course, add other portlets as needed. Since we are using NetSuite's native dashboard capabilities, we can actually add or customize searches as you need. So here, for example, we'll refer to some invoices, which the details of which are on the screen. You take a look at the days overdue, Dunning levels, etc. All right, so the first thing that we'll take a look at is the Dunning console, which is also available in the navigation under Tools, Dunning console. Also, of course, you have a quick link right on your dashboard. So here on the Dunning console, we have a few basic classifications, like the user's subsidiary, which is pre-filled on our form. You, of course, have other classifications available, departments, classes, locations based on your account setup, and some more filter options also, which you see, like the customer group, the customer, sales representative, etc. There are some special filters like the Dunning levels and whether or not the customer is blocked or the invoice is blocked. We'll, of course, learn more about them when we get to the rules behind. This all actually can be used for filtering the information. So like you see, I filtered only for Dunning level 1 or for all Dunning levels as needed. Now, the information that we see on this part of the screen essentially lists down all the invoices belonging to those customers with the predefined or with the information that I would require for processing the Dunning runs. Here, I of course see that they are marked for being printed, marked for being emailed out to the customers as well. This can also be auto defaulted on the rule. I see 2 invoices do not have a checkbox for email. This really means that they did not find a valid email address for these 2 customers, or as we see, as this one customer. You, of course, see amounts, paid, balances, open days. You also see the Dunning levels, for example, on the screen, and some other information. And here, now we can go ahead and select, say, a couple of invoices for our Dunning run. You, of course, have features to mark multiple, unmark multiple as you need, or you can always manually go ahead and select, just as I did. Now let's go to create our Dunning run. Clicking on create will now automatically take me to this page called Dunning run. And the Dunning run, as you see, is right now queued. It gives me statistics as to how many transactions are in this particular Dunning. So there are two, of course, those two transactions, and how many transactions will be created or posted or emailed. Let's refresh. Now it's processing, and this usually takes a moment or two based on how many transactions you have. Now you have this as completed. You see two transactions are created. At the bottom of the screen, you see all information, which customer, what are the amounts, penalties, or interests and delays. You also see the emails and the files right here. This information actually comes from our rules. You also have an error handling mechanism. Here you see there is no error for this one, of course, but we try to be as precise as possible when it comes to transactions that failed out. The penalties and interests really come from the rules configured behind that give us full advantage of the flexibility. So let's take a look at these rules. They sit under setup of the Dunning module, and here you see the list of various rules across subsidiaries or any other rules that you want to refer. Let's open the Dunning Germany one as a sample rule. Now let's take a look at this rule and learn how this helps us in the module. So you of course have basic information like the number of Dunning levels, days after last due date, etc. You can also set up a due date notification configuration right here. You have Dunning charges. This is what we saw, like penalties, interests on delay. And you can enter, for example, 3.6% per annum is our interest on delay. You can also configure which account this penalty or interest should be posted against. And if it is posted, whether the transaction should be approved or pending approval. Apart from this, the configuration for mailing can also be set up on this part of the screen, like, for example, whether you want to send out PDFs or HTMLs, which email address should receive the emails. So for example, you have Dunning emails on transactions, on customers, or native email addresses, for example. You, of course, have other options like whether you want your sales reps to be in CC of those emails, whether you want to BCC someone, or you can also add a collection agency's email address. We'll talk about collection process in a bit as well. The criteria here demands 3 Dunning levels, as I had defined earlier, and you see each Dunning level has their own configuration set up across. And here, for example, I can configure 7 days as overdue for Dunning, number of minimum days as 7, which really means it has to wait for 7 days to be in one particular Dunning level before it moves over to Dunning level 2, for example. So this can be configured on your end very easily. You also have other information like the payment deadlines, penalties, whether you want attachments for the Dunning letter or the invoices, and so on. Here we also have some features where you can automate Dunning. So you can switch on the automation, the full automation on the screen above. And here you can actually also automate one particular level. So if you want to only automate level 2, for example, or all of them, you can always do that as you need. We'll talk about automation. This also sits on the customer master, where you need to specify which customers have to be automated, of course. Let's quickly take a look at the technical settings. Here you would find the file cabinet IDs. So all the Dunning runs that we produce, that our module produces, are always archived in the native documents file cabinet. You can always go ahead and find the details, all the Dunning letters, absolutely everything in these internal IDs. Here you see some Dunning templates, some email templates across 3 levels in English and German. And you can, of course, have different email templates marked with an increasing level of threat or increasing level of strictness, say. And of course, you have some other statement templates, some other email notification templates that can be toggled on this page. Here you also see the customers and invoices which are assigned to this rule, which means these customers and invoices belong to that particular rule, the Dunning Germany 1 rule that we are looking at right now. And here, for example, you see these are the list of invoices that belong to our Dunning rule number 1. Of course, if we inactivate any particular rule, NetSuite defaults the subsidiaries default rule automatically. So this is just a quick customization that we offer to automatically set the default. Now let's go to the Dunning run again. Now on the Dunning run, of course, since this is an independent record, you can use it for all sort of audit control or searches. This is available for all your searches, internal reporting management as well. Let's quickly take a look at one PDF example to see how this goes. So this was the PDF letter, the Dunning letter produced by our module. And you see you have some texts here. This is for Dunning letter 2. All the text that you see here is customizable. So we have divided the screen in 3 parts, and this is very user friendly for you to actually go ahead and customize the wordings on your Dunning letter, which is sent out to the customer. So this customization sits under Dunning setup and Dunning texts. The Dunning text screen shows the list of all your Dunnings in different languages and different levels, or essentially also different parts of the screen. You see part 1, 2, 3 with the words that you want to specify. Here you also have text groups. So you can essentially have 2 different text groups for different subsidiaries, or maybe one special customer has to have one special, very clean, lenient language, for example. You can always go ahead and configure that. All right, so that was our Dunning run again, and let's take a look at the customer, how this Dunning run looks on the customer master. You would see there's a Dunning process subtab that comes with our module, and all the Dunning related information is collected on this particular customer. So you of course see which invoice was done, which Dunning level it belongs to, the Dunning date, all the details like the penalties, the interest rates. You also see the Dunning settings. In this case, of course, this is following the default Germany 1, but if there was a special Dunning setting for this customer, you would see that listed right here. You also have some buttons or some actions that you can perform with this. Like, for example, you can block a particular customer from the Dunning completely by clicking this button. And this will then, of course, never be sent out to customers unless you choose to show blocked customers. You can also automate Dunning by clicking this little button here. This was the full automation option that we saw on the rule level. Now, let's go to our invoice. And on the invoice also, you will find out that there is a Dunning process subtab, which gives you more information about the current Dunning level. You also see what were the different texts that were sent out in the Dunning letter, current Dunning letter. You also, of course, have penalties and interest rates and all that information listed here on the fields. And of course, we are collecting the Dunning run information on the invoice as well. So this is completely accessible from either end as required. You also have some buttons, as you might have noticed, like you can always just block Dunning or trigger next running or recreate the Dunning process for this specific invoice. All of this, of course, can be also done through the console for all invoices together. So all these actions can be done from the console. However, if you want to do it for one invoice, you want to go to the next Dunning, you can always just click on email or next Dunning on this particular invoice. There's also the collection process, clicking on which will take you to the collection run itself. This, of course, also is backed by an intuitive suggested report for proposing collections. So we also propose collections for invoices. And once you click on this button on the invoice level, you'll see you already have the subject. You can have the recipient from the rule again if you need to, or you can type in the email address of your collection agency, type in the message, or you can have a default, choose whether or not to send out emails with attachments, copy others, and send it out to your collection agency. Let's go back to the dashboard and scroll down to see the invoices created today. We might have to just quickly refresh our dashboard to see whether the invoice is sitting here, which is invoice number 41, as we see on the screen. Okay, so this takes us to our next tool. The next tool that we'll talk about is the statement console. This can be accessed from Dunning Process Tools statements, or you also, of course, have a quick link right on the first dashboard portlet that's called statements. Once we go to the statement console, you would see this is quite similar to what we saw when it comes to the Dunning console, where you have, for example, the subsidiary predefined. You can, of course, filter which customer groups or customer you want to look up for, or specific sales representatives or last statement run, etc. You also have the blocked customer checkbox, which is the same checkbox we saw earlier. We can always select which Dunning date and the start date we want to run this for. And here you see the list of all the customers for which we want to process our statement runs. Of course, for our demo purpose, I'm going to go ahead and process for a couple of transactions. Of course, you also can mark all or unmark all. You see the print option, the email option also being available right here. Let's go ahead and click on create. That takes us to the statement run page, which is like what we see on our screen. And this statement run page gives us all the information of which statements were processed. So here you see 2 customers statements were processed. You have the default information also showing, so emails sent out or the files attached with the statement information, as you see on the screen right here. Let's see how this looks like on the customer itself. So let's go to the customer master, and under communication, we see the messages sublist. And right here, we see the email that was sent out to the customer, which email address, this was the subject of the email, and you see the attachment of your statements run right here. While we are at it, let's again just quickly go to our invoice, which we can easily find from the dashboard. And let's open the invoice to see how the communication looks like for our Dunning run. I go to the communication and messages tab, and you see the communication message sent out from our Dunning run to this particular customer. And of course, we can view the email. This is the native NetSuite emailing functionality where you see the message content and you also see attachments. In this case, we deliberately chose to send out the invoice and the Dunning letter as attachments. Okay, so this brings us to our last topic, which is the automation process that we have as a part of our module. Let's go to Dunning process. We have this feature under reports and customers with automated Dunning process. Here we have configured 2 customers as an example that run with a full automation possibility. We of course have none of them are blocked from the Dunning runs, and they want to receive emails, and we want to also generate printouts. So that's what we see on this report right here. What we will now go to is we will take a look at the Dunning run under tools and Dunning run, and this will highlight the automated Dunning run in blue. So here you see there's a system generated Dunning run for Germany 1 subsidiary. This is the automated Dunning process, which ran on the 27th of this month. I can, of course, click through to learn more about it. So here I can go in and I see the 2 invoices for this particular customer were done. Both of them sit in the Dunning level 1, and I have the information available right here. Of course, you can also see emails were sent out to so-and-so, email ID with the files as well. So that after this, let's go to our dashboard. And this was our quick product tour. Let's go back to our presentation. Okay. So to quickly recap what we just saw in our demo system, we can manage all our Dunning related activities from the Dunning console. This gives us all the detailed information of whatever we needed to see. We saw the dashboard searches that will help us manage report building. The tool is highly flexible to accommodate your Dunning rules and use cases. Special customers need special treatment, and our tool can be taught these kind of special rules. We pack a Dunning due date notification with 5 Dunning levels, 2 languages. This comes as part of our module. However, you can always go ahead and add more levels, add more languages as you require. This is, of course, something we can support you with. This brings us to our last segment. We'll take as many questions as we can in our limited time.
Thank you, Bart. This was very nice. Now let's go on to the questions. Indeed, we have four questions from the audience. We also have here Katja, our bundle support specialist, and you can also join into the answer if you like.
Yes.
So the first question we have is, can I add additional languages myself? And Katja, I think you have the answer.
Yes, and actually Pars answered it already, so you can add any language what you have been set up in NetSuite.
Mm-hmm.
Very clear, thank you. Now, second question I have is, how does the implementation process look like? Does it require any follow-up maintenance by external consultants? What is the price for the implementation and follow-up monthly fee, if there is any? What is the time necessary for training to be able to start using the bundle?
Wow, that's a long one.
Yeah, should we go through it one by one?
Yeah, I can take some questions here. So essentially, yes, there will be a small implementation effort upfront, where one of our specialists, Katja, and her team members will get in touch with your representatives to take a look at your process. We design the strategy of your Dunning, and then that strategy is replicated into the tool, really. The implementation, the second question, I believe, was the implementation cost, which is there's no one answer to this. This depends on your requirements. So if you have lean standardized requirements, this is not more than a couple of hours, really. However, since the tool is very highly flexible, you can make 10 languages, for example, with 5-7 Dunning runs, and that adds on some efforts from our end. When it comes to maintenance, the Dunning product, we are letting customers subscribe to our Dunning product on a yearly basis. This is a yearly subscription fee. There's no such maintenance monthly fee as such. You can always get in touch with us for any specific support or any specific enhancement if you want to add anything or create new rules, new features need to be introduced, etc. That can be done on a very specific tailored engagement with us. I hope I answered all of the questions here.
If you're interested in the bundle, feel free to contact us, and we are going to send you a code.
Yes.
Next question. Can you share this video afterwards? We can.
Yeah. I think we will go ahead and create a YouTube link or upload this on our repositories, and we can share this, of course. Sure.
Okay. Now this is the, please listen carefully. If customer got 5 different invoices with the same due date, how does the Dunning email look like? Will it be one email including all 5 invoices?
Okay, so the current module that we have, the Dunning 3.0 module, essentially creates 5 different Dunnings because this sits on the invoice. You of course have a statement run which consolidates all of that invoices or all those open topics in one letter. But when you want to marry the Dunning and the statement, this is something which is already in our development phase, and we are rolling it out as Dunning 3.1. The current module shipped is Dunning 3.0, which has these 2 independent features, like I mentioned.
Is there a due date already for this release?
We plan that for Q1 2021. And by then, we are also planning to have this SDN as a build-for-NetSuite SuiteApp, which will be available for general public.
Next question. How many contacts can a Dunning email have? I believe this refers to the amount of recipients that you want to have in a Dunning email. Let's say in the accounting department of my customer, I have 5 people who need to receive it.
So you can add it also in the rule. You can there you have the possibility of adding it, but on the customer level you have only 1, and also on the invoice level. But it's possible also to customize this.
Our workflow, which sends the email, has the option to have different, but a lot of recipients.
Yeah.
So thereby you just need to design a custom field
for you,
where you enter the email addresses, and thereby you can send to many or multiple recipients. Okay. I hope we answered that. Next question. What happens if you book a journal entry to a customer? Will it take that into account or only invoices?
So at this point in time, our Dunning module runs on the invoice table. So it is really referencing the invoice. Since native NetSuite invoicing module gives you due date notification or due dates and such, we have to utilize the native capabilities of NetSuite. So to answer your question, no, it does not refer to journals, only refers to invoices.
Okay, and then the last question is, it's a thank you. I guess that's a compliment to you, Bart. And the question is, what is the price per year?
I think this can be best answered one-on-one. Let's get back on a separate channel. We get in touch with you, and then we'll discuss commercials.
Okay. Thank you. So put together, this was our webinar. I hope it was informative. As we are writing here, let's get it done. Yeah, I will close the webinar now and wish you all a nice evening or afternoon. Goodbye.
Thank you. Hope you all enjoyed. Feel free to get in touch.